What's up, guys? Back here in the garage, working on the Civic today. Obviously, the last time I had messed around with the rear suspension, and we're gonna mess around with that a little bit more, and then probably start digging into the front suspension also, and see how far we get. So I didn't get this on film because I was kind of in a rush, but I got the lower control arms. Everything's all bolted down the way it should be. The only thing left to do at this point is the brake hoses, which I'm still waiting on. I don't know what is taking so long for those, but at the moment, at least that part's done. We can get the brake hoses on when they actually show up. So next order of business, I need to get this subframe out, as well as all this, the control arms, all that stuff, rack, everything needs to come out of here. Because this is, EK Civic. I've got an EG subframe with all the stuff on it. This one actually technically it's an Integra. Doesn't really matter, they're the same thing, but I need this one to use the mounts that I have. So yeah, we're gonna put this in. All right, there's that big ugly thing out of there. That rack was fucked. It's a good thing I decided to go with manual rack. You can see it's leaking through the seals, and yeah, it's all screwed up. But now, this one's gonna go in. Now, normally, if you guys watch my channel for a long time, you would know that normally, I would go through and shave this entire engine bay, paint everything, paint this, all that stuff, go to town, make it show quality. Now, that's not gonna happen on this go-around. I'm actually just going to throw it together. The reasoning being is that I'm moving, so you won't see this garage in the future. Yeah, I'm moving to a different spot. And because of that, I need to get this car at least drivable, so it'll make it easier to go in and out of a trailer. I've got about a month-ish, and there's just not enough time to do all the stuff that I want to do to it. So I think I'm just gonna slam it together, make sure everything works, then pull it back apart and do all the painting and make it nice. So for the moment, we're gonna put this in. Okay, the Integra subframe is now in there. That was a pain in the ass to do by myself. It's just kind of like hanging out in there. I'm missing one bolt over here. Need to go pick that up tomorrow. But it's at least like kind of set where it needs to be. I used that jack, that wood block, and then another wood block to kind of jack it up in there and use these jack stands to stabilize it. Oh, what a pain in the ass, but at least it's like kind of in there now. All right, so I actually tightened this up because I realized that one of the long bolts, the ones that I was missing, the ones that are already on the car are only like a tiny bit shorter, and it actually is gonna work for right now. I'm still gonna get the correct bolt, but for the moment it'll work. I also realized that this bracket right here, which I've never done a K-swap on an EK, but when you do this EG subframe, this thing hits really hard. So down the road, when I actually pull this apart and clean it all up, this bracket's gonna have to come off, which, I mean, we're gonna shave the bay anyway, but I think for the moment, what I'll end up doing is I'll just cut this thing off just so it's not in the way. I just kind of bend it out of the way for the moment, but I'll end up cutting it. But I also have a new rack and pinion. So I need to get this rack and pinion in here. And when you do the power steering to manual conversion, there's actually a problem with this right here, which you can't quite see. The mounting on the passenger side, basically what happens is the rubber bushing that's on the manual rack is a little bit smaller. So you have to cut off, or take the bushing off of the power steering and then just kind of cut it up and kind of put it in there so it's tight. So we're gonna be doing that. I don't know if I have the right bolts for here. I'm gonna have to look around and see if I do, but let's get this thing in here. Well, I fucked up. Yeah, turns out that an EK and EG rack and pinion are different. I did not know that. I thought they were the same damn thing. It is not mount the same, so fuck. I've got to order a new rack and pinion now. That really sucks. So yeah. So I was moving the spindles around. These are the two that are going on there that came off an Integra. These are the two that were on the car. And I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, they're not the same. That's the smaller brakes, and that's the bigger brakes. They had one of each on this car. There was Integra on one side, and like D or CX on the other side. So this is like a 9.5 inch rotor, and this is a 10.5 inch rotor. How ghetto is that? I cannot believe somebody did that. Alright, so you saw me use an air hammer. That's honestly the easiest way to get these in and out of there. As long as you stay on the edge with an air hammer, it works really, really well. I'm going to have to get a grease gun because the grease gun... Oh, I've thrown all of mine away. I swear those things are the biggest pieces of shit. But I have to grease this before I pull this piece out because, yeah, this doesn't fit with the axle. It's a really stupid design, but it doesn't really matter right now because the engine isn't in. But I'm going to throw these on the car and then get a grease gun later. All right, I got those sitting on there now. Just to talk about it again, this is all gonna come back apart again. I am gonna do paint on all these things. You know, it's gonna get new brakes, it's gonna get new wheel bearings, extended studs, all that stuff. I'm literally just throwing it together with what I have right now. I do have new brake hoses, which is nice. So we're gonna put these braided brake hoses on there and then probably bleed the brakes. Okay, I got all the lines on there. Brakes are all bled. I just did that off camera because it's boring. Moving on. Next thing is I'm gonna start working on the radiator mounting. So I pulled the air conditioning crap out of there. The lower supports, those two right there, are obviously for the factory half-size radiator. I'm gonna be running a full size. I've got a cord one over there, or maybe no, it's RSX, I think, RSX. I need to move these mounting spots, so I have to drill out all 4 of those because I'm gonna end up rewelding them in different spots. So yeah, I need to do some drilling. All right, got all those off of there. Honestly, these ones for the radiator, I drilled them so perfectly, I literally was able to take them off with my hands. I didn't even need a freaking pry bar. Yeah, if you guys are doing this in the future, make sure you get yourself a spot weld drill bit. It makes your life a lot easier. Like, you can use a regular drill bit, but the problem is you basically end up drilling a complete hole, whereas a spot weld drill bit, you just end up with like these little like marks, but it doesn't create a whole hole, like full hole all the way through. So it's a lot better way to do things. But now I just need to position the radiator where it needs to be, and then I can tack those mounts in. All right, I got the correct rack in there finally. This is a 92-95 Civic for like a CX manual rack. This is basically what I was talking about before, is like this bushing right here doesn't quite line up with where it's supposed to be, so you end up having to put this other bushing from the power steering rack over the top of it so that it fits in there solid and fits straight and everything. So yeah, that's good. I'm gonna throw the outer tie rod ends on there, kind of center it up, and then I can put the universal joint on, which is actually different for the manual rack versus power steering, so you gotta make sure you have that one. All right, next plan on the agenda here is I got my mounts, just kind of mocking them up. These are just some cheap eBay mounts, just to, yeah, get me by for the moment. There's no instructions, so I'm just kind of guessing. These obviously go there. I kind of figured out where these ones go. They sent me this bracket because I'm running Element training. I've actually got to run an all-wheel drive bracket. So I ordered that one also, got that one there. So yeah, now I just gotta figure out where all these bolts, or which ones they're supposed to go to, kind of put it together, and then can kind of go from there. Okay, I think I figured out the bolt situation. They didn't give me enough, so I ended up having to use just a bolt I had laying around for there. Same thing with here and the bottom of this. They didn't send bolts for that, or this one actually, that one I had laying around. They at least sent me bolts for the back of that one. Oh well, at least that part's figured out. Now, need to get the new clutch on, because I sold my other one to my buddy, so he bought me a brand new one, so I gotta put that back on here, get the transmission on there, and then we can start, yeah, seeing if we can get this engine in. All right, we're getting somewhere. Clutch, transmission's on. Just need to put the intermediate shaft on. Yeah, grab my hoist and start to put it in. All right, it's in there. After a whole lot of screwing around, it's in there. A lot of the bolts, yeah, they didn't have, I had to get, use these transmission bolts. This rear bracket is this all-wheel drive bracket. I can see how it's supposed to bolt up. It's supposed to bolt up there. However, the bolt hole doesn't line up. I actually have a bolt in the bottom right now. And these two, there's two bolts back here. I don't know how you'd ever get those in there. They almost want you to put the bracket on before you put it in the car, which seems just crazy. That just seems like a huge pain in the ass. I mean, maybe I'm gonna have to, I don't know, loosen the mounts up again and move it forward or something so I can get those bolts in. I don't know, but at the moment I'm calling it for today. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end up having to waller out this hole, maybe this hole, something, because it doesn't quite reach. I think if I move, yeah, take a little bit of metal out of there, I think we can get it. This side, I did get it. The bolts that they sent didn't fit. I ended up using some stuff I had laying around, so that's good. But I mean, otherwise, guys, it's in there. All right, back at it today. I was able to get this rear bracket to fit. You can see there's a bunch of metal on there because I did some grinding. I had to make this hole a little bit bigger, just a tiny bit on that one, and then the one that comes in on that side of the transmission. It was a lot of fighting to get it in there, but it finally went in there and everything's bolted up solid now, so we're good. I think next step is, I think I'm gonna pull the oil pan off because it's literally just on there with like 2 bolts right now because I had to use the other one for the Mini Cooper. So we're gonna pull that off, try to get sealed up and do the intermediate shaft since I forgot to put it in and go from there. So I started to put the intermediate shaft in. I had it all the way in and then realized that there isn't actually enough room to get the header in if the intermediate shaft and the oil filter on it. So I started working on the header and I welded on a flange. Basically I put this V-band on here because it had like one of those 2-bolt flanges and that was not gonna work. So now I got a V-band on there and waiting for it to cool down, then I'm gonna throw it in the car. All right, header's installed, intermediate shaft's in there. I don't know what brand this header is. I got it from my buddy who pulled off a parts car. Fits really good, whatever it is. Think it'll work. Next up on the agenda, put the clutch line on there and the slave cylinder. It's just kind of hanging out at the moment. I'm gonna end up zip tying it and kind of hiding it back in there pretty good. But for the moment, that's kind of how it's gonna run. I think that'll work. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be it on this one. We're getting somewhere. It's, the engine's in, that's a big thing. There's still, quite a bit to do. Obviously, I'm going to be doing all this and then pulling it back together, but at the moment, the goal is to just get it running, driving, make it raceable for the rest of this season, and then the winter, I'll tear it down and, do all the things the way I really want to do it. But for the moment, we're just doing it the David Freiberger approach. Don't get it right, just get it running. So we're gonna do that. I've got some more parts coming. I'm probably gonna have to order some more parts because I know there's some things I'm forgetting, but hopefully, next video, maybe I can get it running. We'll see. But at the moment, like, subscribe, do all the things. Peace out.